The Tuesday, July 12th meeting of the Jasper City Council is called to order. We will begin with the invocation by Brett McCarver and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Captain David Mize. Please rise.
Let's bow our heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day of life. We thank you for the opportunity to live in a country where we can gather as public citizens with our leaders and discuss options and opportunities we have. We just ask that you bless these proceedings, bless the council, the mayor, and the leaders of the city as they strive to do what they feel is best for us all, and just be with us, Lord, as we would do your work each day. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the council has had the opportunity to review the minutes of the meeting held on June 21st, do I have a motion and a second that the minutes be approved?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Kathy, are there any amendments to the agenda?
No, sir.
With no amendments, is there a motion and a second that the agenda be approved as written?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Kaitlyn's next. Consider approval of event permit for Buddy Beasley's Memorial Ride by Punishers Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club.
Council member, the Kaitlyn is not here today. She is sick, so I'll present that to you. She received an application on July the 8th. This application for this event has been sent out to the police department, the fire department, and our street department, and we have not had any correspondence from them that would indicate any objections.
Are there any questions for Kathy on this event?
What's the time? Does it have
The time on the application was a time to set up at 9:30 a.m. and starting at 1 p.m. and they will finish at 2:30.
Is there a motion and a second that we approve that event permit?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes.
Thank you.
Jessica, although I've got my mint and about bit my tongue off. Jessica, consider request for permission to renew contract for trophies and awards at the same terms and pricing.
Good morning.
Morning.
For item number 6, I request permission to renew the contract for trophies and awards to Custom Trophy Shop at the same terms and pricing.
You've heard Jessica's recommendation. Is there a motion and a second? We approve the renewal of the contracts.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Item number 7, Jessica.
After study and evaluation of the proposal opened on July 1st, I recommend the purchase of a 2006 Peterbilt 320 residential loader truck to NLI Sales Incorporated. We sent bid invitations to 21 companies and received 1 response.
Any questions for Jessica on the purchase of the used commercial garbage truck? If not, is there a motion and a second that we approve the purchase?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Item number 8, consider a resolution to declare a 2006 Crown Victoria surplus property unneeded. Jessica?
I request the adoption of a resolution to declare a 2006 Crown Victoria as surplus property unneeded.
I wonder if that was my first city vehicle.
You have a quick question? Oh.
I drove one of those when I first started
Oh, you
working
drove.
as an employee.
Do you want to be able to bet on it?
Yeah,
So
maybe, yeah,
for
maybe
old time's
for old
sake.
time's sake.
you've heard Jessica's recommendation. Is there a motion and a second that we approve the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And yes, thank you. Thank you, Jessica, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Carmen, you're next. Consider a request to approve the purchase of a D5 for the landfill from the state surplus division.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I am seeking request for approval of a purchase of a 2011 Caterpillar D5 dozer for the landfill, and this is from the state surplus division.
Any questions for Carmen on this?
We heard plenty about it at the work session. We got to-
You know more than about a D5 than you need to
Yes.
know. If not, is there a motion and a second that we approve the purchase of the D5?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
You.
Kathy, introduce Budget Amendment 2022-2023, number 11, and this is an introduction.
Council members, you heard Carmen's request to purchase the dozer, so a part of that introduction today is to provide the funding, $95,000 for that purchase from your garbage fund, as well as her need that she discussed on Friday for rental equipment, to put some money in her budget for that as well. The fire department also requested just some line item changes within his budget to reflect some current spending trending, so I also would like to go ahead and introduce that for him today as well.
Okay. And that's all in this budget amendment introduction. It will be voted on at the next council meeting. Kathy, consider adoption of resolution to set costs for nuisance abatement.
We have two public hearings to conduct this morning for two pieces of property. The first one is property that would belong to Robert and Ruby Williams, 501 Highland Avenue. The street department cut some overgrown grass and weeds and are recommending a cost be set of $100.
This is a public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for Robert and Rudy Williams with the cost of $100? If not, is there a motion and a second that we approve that cost?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second? All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right.
The next piece of property belongs to Edna Jean Height at 1807 Jones Dairy Road. The Jasper Street Department cut overgrown grass and weeds and are recommending a cost be set of $100.
Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against the cost of $100 for this, for the Heights property? If not, is there a motion and a second that we set the cost at $100?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion?
Second?
Have a second? Is there, all in favor?
Yes.
Yeah, I missed the second, my fault. All in favor?
Yes.
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 And yes, thank you. Item number 12, consider adoption of resolution to authorize Mayor O'Leary to accept the proposal submitted by William Blackstock Architects. Mayor?
Council members, at our work session on Friday, we had a fairly lengthy and a good discussion about the agreement with the architectural firm of Williams Blackstock. Probably earlier in the week or the latter part of the week preceding that week, I received a call from Stephen Allen, who's the principal of Williams Blackstock, asking me my take on what we were looking for. And so, as I shared with the council at the work session, I shared my opinion. In no way did I represent the council in my discussion. Here's what I told Stephen. I said, Stephen, I think it's keenly important that you're accurately informed as to kind of money we have to spend, and I shared that with him. Then I told him about the first letter that he sent to us that all of you had a copy of, and I think you've been copied maybe on his second letter to us. And I said, as I read this, Stephen, I see maybe some plan to do work out and for future phases. And I said, you know, there's no way we know if we ever get to that point. I hope we do. But I said, I'm not caught up in aesthetics. I said, I'm interested in every dollar that we can put into this to enhance recreation activities for the people. Aesthetics don't increase recreation activity, in my opinion. And so we talked about that, and I said, what I would like to see is you look at this tract of land, which he's identified, is you delineate how much land that should be set aside for maybe 2 more phases. I don't know what that'd be, but you'll learn the lay of the land and that sort of thing. And there's no design work there, so consequently, we won't have any cost with that design work. So the conclusion we came to at his master plan would focus solely on phase 1. In his letter, he established an upside price of $48,900 with the understanding that there could be savings from that $48,900 if we can get the job done quicker, which I think we can. But we know the upside. So what we would have at the end of what's set out in his letter is we'd have a master plan for phase 1. We would see what sort of land that he will delineate for future expansion, which we can wrap that up in a way that it'll be available and probably even beyond our time. And they're prepared to go to work on that. It seemed to be at the work session that was a consensus of the discussion that we move forward with that. And so if you think well of that, if you approve it today, you allow me to execute the agreement with Williams Blackstock, and those folks go to work.
You've heard the mayor. Willie, Jennifer, I know you're all on the committee working with that. Any questions?
The way I understood, they were gonna come back to the committee and talk to us before we start drawing.
So this, so
I'm not asking
you're ready
me.
to get the mayor
Well,
signed
we
to
haven't, that's what we're just saying, could we get we didn't receive.
The proposal,
Mhm.
we can certainly send that, but to answer Willie's question, because I did get a chance to read the proposal, and the mayor obviously has read it as well, they are going to come back and meet with the committee before they start laying out a design, because they've got to know what the committee as well as
It's the public.
exactly
Right.
believes needs to be in that plan.
Well, with that understanding, I make a motion that we go on contract.
We like to go, yes.
have a motion
I'll second that.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
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 And yes. Thank you, Mayor. You got item number 13, authorizing the mayor to negotiate the terms and conditions for an agreement with the concessionaire to operate Walker County Lake.
Last week, we reached an agreement in principle with the Department of Conservation for the city of Jasper to take over the administrative side of Walker County Lake. The agreement that will govern the relationship between the city of Jasper, which will be known as the lake manager, and the Department of Conservation, is being drafted by the Department of Conservation as we speak. We thought we'd already have it. Kathy joined me in the meeting with Ed Poulos. As a part of this agreement with the Department of Conservation, the city will contract with somebody to be the concessionaire. And I think Ms. Smith mentioned this. Somebody asked her, how do you apply for the job? Really important to understand, this is not an employee of the city, not subject to civil service, don't get benefits, don't get paid a salary. They are an independent contractor. That is an administrative function. The contract with the Department of Conservation stipulates certain things that this concessionaire has to do, has to be able to do, and that's a part of it. So we're in the throes of developing, based on a blueprint provided by the Department of Conservation, a contract that would govern the relationship between the concessionaire and the city of Jasper. And there's no money involved, so it doesn't have to be bid. What I told Ed Poulos is I would like for us to execute the contract with the concessionaire simultaneous with executing the contract with the State Department of Conservation, because if we don't, we're going to generate a lot of frustration on the part of people wanting to have the lake open, and I can understand that. So without a concessionaire, we can't open, so why have a contract with the state? Now, the good thing about this contract, and this will be a part of the contract that the concessionaire will have with the city, while it will have a 20-year term, it has a 90-day out. We give the State Department of Conservation 90-day notice, we walk away. And that's going to follow through to the concessionaire, because if we decide to get out, the city doesn't need to be on the hook to the concessionaire. So there we'll give notice and to the concessionaire, and then we step out. But another thing that I'm really excited about, we've had some discussion, I think we'll have more discussion about building a walking track around Walker County Lake, 5.3 miles. I believe that's what, I know that. And we have,
I know who that makes real happy right there.
in our file, we have the agreement that we could begin construction on that tomorrow if we wanted to.
That is great.
And I'm optimistic that will become a reality. So if you think well of it and you approve this, then we'll begin to work on identifying a concessionaire that can do all the things that have to be done. Extremely important to note that whoever this concessionaire, they have to have some capital, because they've got to stock that store. They've got to have lawn mowing equipment. They've got to be able to buy fishing boat accessories like electric motors and batteries and fishing rods and that sort of thing. So, you know, if you were to contract with a person that didn't have that capital, you'd be in violation of the state. So it's not going to be a real easy job in sizing up a person to do that. But if you approve this, then we'll go to work and see if we can't make that happen.
And I know the Department of Conservation has done this with a couple other
Pike and Dale
members of-
County.
Yeah,
Right.
with that. And I think this is going to be a outstanding recreational value for the city of Jasper. I know Jenny has worked on this for years, with getting stuff done.
It's great to see it come to fruition.
Any other questions for the mayor? Do I have a motion and a second that we allow the mayor to negotiate the terms and conditions for the agreement with the concessionaire?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Thank you, Mayor. Item number 14, Kathy, you're gonna, Russ had an emergency conflict, but consider adoption of a resolution to provide economic development assistance for a retail establishment.
And council members, you had the owners here Friday at your work session of Alabama Donuts, and to make a request for economic assistance for that particular development. The resolution today is really just gonna provide for the public hearing that will be on your next council agenda that would provide the economic assistance. But at this time, we just wanted to get a resolution from the council that you are interested in going forward with that economic incentive request.
Any questions for Kathy? If not, is there a motion and a second that we approve the resolution for to provide the economic development issue, and the public hearing will be held at the next council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 15, Brent, consider adoption of resolution for, we got two varieties, unsafe structure and grass and weeds.
Good morning, council members.
Morning.
I know we'll have to take these separately. Your first is in District 5, 601 24th Street West is unsafe structure. Building inspector has been out. As you can see, there is also a tree from storm falling on the structure as well.
Is that the only unsafe
Yes, sir.
structure we got?
That is the only one.
Any questions for Brent? If not, is there a motion and a second that we approve 601 24th Street as a public nuisance?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
I'll second it.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right, Brent, I guess it's grass and weeds.
Move along to
next.
grass and weeds. This one, we did not have an opportunity to take out of the rotation. Actually, we've spoken about it this morning with Councilwoman Short, and Mr. Cleghorn is in the audience. So this 705 Pine Street is his property, and he will be taking care of it. The next one, 707.
So 705 Pine Street is off?
Is off, yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
The next is 707 Oak Street, which is also in District 1. 1200 East Ridgewood Road, which is in District 3. 207 South Ridge Road, which is in District 3. And 1325 Highway 195, which is also in District 3.
And I'm familiar with all of them, so,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree with
How is
Brent.
that one in yours? I stuck it.
It could be in yours.
It is
I'll
mine.
give-
That one
I'll
is
give it
mine.
to, it may have
But yeah, I
switched.
bet,
so-
yay,
Yeah, whatever.
Is it in 1?
No, it's in 4.
Oh, it's in
I
four,
get
okay.
confused where the stop
At
it
the
is.
trace, he,
It stops over.
I stay on that
Okay.
side until we get up.
I
a
try
couple
to give her
streets.
all the
It's
grass
between
and
the Trace and
weeds.
Hudson, and
Yeah,
they swap
yeah.
sides of the road right in there.
I
Okay.
try to give her all the grass and weeds she wants there. You've heard.
We're trying to find something for Danny. I'm out, I promise.
You've heard Brent's recommendation. Is there a motion and a second that we approve those properties as nuisance abatement for grass and weeds?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments from the mayor? Anything?
Briefly, council members, we're inside of 90 days for fiscal year 2022 to come to an end. And what we know at this point, and based on past experience, this year will conclude with another performance that we can be proud of. What does fiscal 2023 hold? Nobody knows. If you read financial news, it'll make you bite your nails. And but I'm thankful that we're prepared for whatever comes, and so we'll have to see how that plays out. But the other thing is, just yesterday I made a follow-up call to a top drawer developer that has due diligence going on for 2 prominent sites here in the city of Jasper for retail development. The engineering layout is being done, and it seems like there's a good, not a month goes by that we don't hear from somebody that's showing an interest in Jasper. And the development that's being worked on right now would be what we know is the old Nissan dealership, and that these folks are not, I can't tell you, you know, but we have a contract on that property, prepared to buy it if our due diligence works out. And if the developer had in his back pocket a letter of intent by a very high profile national retailer. He said the other two slots it would house, it would provide property for 3 retail entities, all of them national retailers. And somebody asked me if it's going to be a Publix, and it's not. What he shared with me, he said a Publix requires a minimum of 15 acres. Now, granted, they could be in a development that has 15 acres, but there's not enough land there. So we'll dispel that rumor today, but I'm excited about Jasper continues to develop generally 2 days a week. I'll have breakfast at Cracker Barrel, and I get myself a window so I can watch the interstate. And it's interesting to see traffic dropping off at that off ramp, and to see how the traffic continues to grow on that interstate. So it's my belief that the picture looks good for our city. It's going to be extremely important that we take approach of being conservative as we go into 2023 and see what happens. Nobody knows, but the financial news I read, and you see what's happening globally, not just in the United States, and all that can find its way to the United States. But we're prepared, and we manage well, we'll be fine. But I'm excited about how we'll perform in fiscal year 2022.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Any comments from the council members?
I have one. We had the Walker County Homecoming Reunion this weekend, and I just want to thank the city departments that made it a success when they were called upon. Ms. Harris, Carmen Harris, and Mr. Billy Wade, and we're to commend Arthur Hood. He did a real good job. He had to be over 2 facilities that were used, and everybody was complimenting how nice he was and the work that he performed to try to make everything go well. And Chief Poe, kudos to your police department. They were very visible, and everything went well, and we really thank you, and we appreciate that. And this weekend was a great success.
Thank you. Any other comments?
When does, because you're about to have so much fun when the census comes through, speaking of roads turning this and that, when?
The change of the districts,
Yes.
we will have that on the work session for this Friday.
Okay.
Our representative from Montgomery is traveling here to
Okay.
go over that with the council.
Okay.
Is this the person from Alabama State?
It is.
They did a wonderful job last time we did this. Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? If not, is there a motion and a second that we adjourn?
I make a motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
I was gonna say.